Hey everybody, Dan Henry here, and today we're going to be talking about, do YouTube ads work for high ticket sales? And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because if you like videos like this, I release them every week. Hey everybody, Dan Henry here, founder of 𝐃𝐚𝐧 and author of Digital Millionaire Secrets. And today I have a very special treat for you. I have my good friend Kyle Sulerud here to talk to us about YouTube ads for high ticket. Now, Kyle has been a friend of mine for a while, also a client. Also, I'm a client of his, and he runs my Google media buying and specifically YouTube media buying for our high ticket program. And the way that we set this up is I have a webinar, and you watch my webinar, and if everything sounds good and it makes sense to you and you'd like help from my company and my team implementing what we teach in this webinar, then you can book a call and speak to us. And if it seems like it's a good fit, we work together. So it's webinar, book a call, and then close on the phone. So what Kyle does is he runs YouTube ads for me, and these YouTube ads get people to register for the webinar, and then they watch the webinar and they ascend through what I just explained. So Kyle, welcome to my channel. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man, and super excited to share what I know with your audience today. I know that your people are plugged into marketing. They want to sell more of their products, specifically high ticket sales, which is what you teach. And YouTube is a great platform for that. So I'm excited to dive in.
Awesome, awesome. And it's funny because prior to me and my company switching and creating a high ticket premium product, we did sell a lower ticket online course for quite a while, and you ran YouTube ads for that as well, which again was pretty much the same thing, except it was YouTube ad to webinar to order page to sale, no phone call. And so would it be safe to say that whether you're selling low ticket, $1,000 or $2,000 to an order page, or you're selling high ticket and you're getting to book a phone call, everything we're going to talk about today applies to both?
Right. If you have a webinar that works, absolutely it applies. YouTube, think about it. People are on YouTube. They are consuming content. That's one of the biggest benefits of advertising on YouTube. People are in consumption mode. So they're watching a video, you bringing them to another video, to your webinar, your VSL, whatever. There's such a good chance they're going to watch that and consume that. And then if you're providing value in the webinar, they're going to book a call, they're going to buy your program. What's great about high ticket is just the ROI tends to be higher than selling a program directly from the webinar. That definitely applies to YouTube ads. Of course, there's more costs involved with high ticket. You need a sales team and all that stuff. But in general, you're going to see higher ROIs with high ticket.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you're just starting out, you don't have to have a sales team right away. In fact, I recommend that if you can't close yourself at least probably 30-35%, you really shouldn't hire a sales team, because when you hire a sales team or a salesperson, you have to be able to nurture them and get their close rate up. And if you don't have a good close rate and you don't know your product that well, then it's going to be difficult. But either way, whether you're taking calls, whether somebody else is taking calls, YouTube ads has been proven to be, at least for me and a lot of my clients, and I know some of them, you also run their ads, is absolutely one of the best forms of advertising for webinars and high ticket. And specifically, and this is what I want to jump right into, because I have a list of questions here for you, Kyle. A lot of people are concerned with what they can and cannot say on Facebook ads, especially when it comes to anything business related, anything personal development, weight loss, financial. There's so many restrictions when it comes to what you can say in your advertising with Facebook ads, and for that matter, Instagram ads. What I'd like to ask is the first thing: what can you say in your YouTube ads that you pretty much can't say in Facebook ads?
So Dan, have you helped one of your clients make an extra $100,000 in a month?
I've helped countless people make an extra 100,000 in a month. So yeah.
Could you say that on Facebook?
Absolutely not. No way, no how.
So with YouTube ads, go ahead and say it. If it's true, go ahead and say it. YouTube does not take up issue with that type of thing. You can pretty much say whatever you want as long as it's true. And some people probably push the line there and make outrageous claims. I've seen some outrageous ads on YouTube, right? People making outrageous claims that probably aren't true, but they make it through and they get approved. But especially if you're getting results for people, you're helping people get results, it's documented. Maybe they have a testimonial they've given you, share it. YouTube is not going to disapprove those ads. Now, once in a while, an ad does get disapproved, but that's the other great thing about YouTube is that that's not a big issue. They're not going to shut down your whole account if an ad gets approved. I've had ads disapproved and literally resubmitted the same ad and it gets approved the second time. Most of this is a manual process, so there's just some human approving and disapproving these, and you just need to get it to the right human who's going to approve it. In some situations, you just can't get an ad approved. All you need to do is contact Google, okay? Google has phone support, believe it or not. You can call them and talk to them. They will tell you why the ad was disapproved. They'll even help you get it approved. They'll tell you, all right, change this. This is why we are disapproving your ad. Change this little part, redo it, send it in, and you should be good to go. They'll tell you this. They won't shut down your ad account. They'll help you get your ads running. They want people to pay them to run ads, believe it or not. They like to increase their profits as a company.
What a crazy concept. I mean, because, I've spent millions of dollars on Facebook ads, and I will tell you that Facebook, and don't get me wrong, I still spend tons of money on Facebook ads. I still use them because, Facebook, one advantage to Facebook is that you can pop up a image, some copy, and you have your ad running in 5 minutes. Whereas with YouTube, you do have to make a video, and the video has to be good. And as well, when you have Facebook ads, you can split test multiple images and do that real quick. When you're doing multiple video ads with YouTube, you got to film all these videos. But once you nail it, once you nail that video, man, the profits and the ease of use is just crazy because, like I said, I've spent millions with Facebook, and that's the only company I can spend millions with and not have a customer service rep, not be able to just call up and figure out what's going on. So what you're saying is if there is an issue, number one, you can actually contact somebody. Number two, they'll tell you why. Number three, they'll tell you how to get it approved. And number four, and probably the most important, if you happen to make a mistake, if you happen to get something disapproved, they don't just immediately freak out and shut down your account. Is all that true?
All 100% true. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I have never seen an ad account shut down by Google.
Wow.
It doesn't happen. They'll disapprove ads, but they will not shut down your account. I hear about it. If you're doing some shady stuff with like foreign credit cards that you
sure.
stole, like they'll get onto you for that type of thing. But just strictly based on what you're advertising and what you're saying in your ad, they will not shut down your account.
It's amazing because Google's been around for a while, and for that matter, Facebook has. And I don't mean this, and gosh, I hope nobody from Big Blue hears this, but if you really think about it, Google is a company that's run by quite a few, people in the tech industry and Silicon Valley that have been in there for a while. I couldn't tell you who is the CEO of Google. I don't remember, but I know there's a large team over there, and they are very, they've always been very big into company culture and, how they hire and, contrast that to Facebook, somebody, and I get it, all the tech CEOs have been questioned by Congress recently, and that has been a thing. But the most scrutiny, the company with the most scrutiny is Facebook. right? They're the ones that are always getting in trouble with Congress, that always have issues. And I hate to say this, but let's think about it. If you've seen the movie The Social Network, and I understand that there was some creative liberty there taken by Hollywood, but at the end of the day, Facebook is a company that was started, founded, and still run by a kid in college who, I mean, they had their company out of a house, and I mean, I understand that great companies do come from that, but if you really think about it, the culture and the way that company was built, it does show, because on one hand, you have one company that literally has no regard for their customers, whether or not they spend a lot or a little. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for Facebook ads. I'm totally grateful because they've helped me make millions of dollars, but it has been probably the most difficult business relationship I have ever had. And again, they're getting grilled by Congress all the time. I don't think the company has the maturity that a company like Google has, where they can take the influx of advertisers and volume and customers and still at the same time be able to deliver a reasonable customer service experience like Google has. Would you agree?
I agree. And Google has its issues too. There's some industries, particularly like with Google search, if you're trying to advertise tech support for computers, they're really strict on that because there's a lot of scams involved with that. So then they just shut everybody down. So Google does deal with things like that. On YouTube, we found they haven't been as strict. They're not real strict about YouTube, especially with legitimate ventures like online coaching and selling online courses. They're fine with it. They know it's a legitimate business, and they're letting people do their thing.
Awesome. Well, again, every company and industry has its problems. And right now, if you are a coach, consultant, you sell a mastermind, you sell online courses, YouTube is a great place to advertise. And that's why, in our coaching program, we had you teach a complete YouTube ads course in there, because you run my ads, you're the authority when it comes to this, and we've had a lot of our clients in that program that we taught really just crush it, absolutely crush it with their consulting and their coaching offers. And they run Facebook ads too, but when it comes to the restrictions and the things like that, it seems that YouTube is just a lot more flexible. Now, we've been kind of hating on Facebook a little bit, so let's talk about something that is good on Facebook that may be more advanced than other platforms like Google. Maybe you can expand on this, but on Facebook, you can get really, really crazy detailed with targeting. Let's talk about targeting on YouTube ads. How does that contrast, and how do we target our ideal customer on YouTube ads?
Yeah, so first, there are some targeting limitations that you don't really run into on Facebook. On Facebook, as you know, it works really well to upload a list of your customers and create lookalike audiences and tell Facebook to find more of those people, right? And I think the limit is like 30 emails or maybe 100 emails you can upload to Facebook, and then they'll find similar people. Google does not have stuff like that. They do have
they don't have it yet.
Yeah. I assume they will at some point. But right now there's serious limitations on it. So to even be able to upload an email list, you need to have a high ad spend, at least $50,000 spent over the life of the account. And even then you have to go through an application and jump through a bunch of hoops before they'll let you even upload an email list. Okay. And the other limitation is you can't just create lookalike audiences. And when I say they, I mean Google/YouTube, they will make similar audiences for you that automatically happens. So if you have any type of retargeting list, any type of email list that you've uploaded, Google will automatically generate these similar audiences for you. But those have some major flaws. They just do not get to a similar audience very well. It's all over the map. Sometimes the audiences will be 50 to 100 million people. Sometimes they'll be too small to even target to begin with. So that similar audiences don't work very well, and there's no way to even tell Google that you want one. They just automatically create them for you. If you're lucky enough to have enough people on that audience, then you can try it, but it's probably not going to work. So that's, those are the limitations, but YouTube has some serious advantages when it comes to targeting also. So we have audience targeting, similar to Facebook, right? You're targeting the people. You're targeting what they're interested in. You're targeting what their habits are. Now, there's some pretty cool things with YouTube audience targeting specifically, because Google is everywhere, right? There's Google Analytics codes on half of the internet. We have people doing searches on google.com, on youtube.com. You can target based on search keywords. So based on what people are searching on Google, you can target those people on YouTube. Okay, it's called custom intent audiences. You can actually put in your own keywords and say, okay, I want to find people who are searching for these types of keywords, and then your ads are going to be shown to those people. So that's one big benefit that Facebook doesn't have. Facebook's not out there tracking people's Google search behavior. The other thing you can do is put in a list of websites, and you can tell Google, I want you to find people similar to people who have been to these websites. Okay, that's called custom affinity. Now, as sexy as that sounds, I'll warn you, it's kind of hit or miss. It's not what some people think it is, where you're basically retargeting people who've been to those websites. What Google does is they look for similarities in the people who've been to the websites that you listed, and then they say, okay, let me find people with these same similarities. So it can work, but the custom affinity is really hit or miss, I'll be honest. And then Google also has these pre-built audiences for us. They have in-market audiences and affinity audiences where they have their own lists of audiences. The in-market audiences are super powerful, and they are intent-based. Okay, they're based on what people are in the market for. What have they recently been searching for? What types of websites have they recently been browsing? What are they likely to buy, essentially? What are they hot in the market for right now? Those are in-market audiences. And then we have affinity audiences, where that's more about their interests and like their long-term habits, their long-term interests. And again, kind of with custom affinity, those don't tend to work as well. Someone may have ended up in an affinity list a long time ago, and they don't really have that interest anymore. Same type of thing happens on Facebook. But so that's audience targeting, right? You're targeting the person. And if you're targeting the person, your ad would potentially run on any video that they're watching on YouTube. The other type of targeting, which is more powerful in my experience, is the content targeting. So with content targeting, you're targeting the actual content people are watching. You're running your ads on specific channels, specific videos, or specific types of content. You can target broader topics, but it's all content. So it's based on what people are consuming. Now, the reason this is so powerful is that if someone's consuming content, so if someone's watching Dan Henry's YouTube channel, not only do I know that they're interested in what Dan Henry is talking about, but they are interested in it in that exact moment. They are consuming that content right now. So if someone has a video talking about the exact thing that you can help someone with, it's gold, okay? You're pulling them away from the exact thing they're trying to learn in that moment, and you're bringing them into your funnel.
So let me just ask, because this is something I've noticed with Facebook ads versus YouTube ads, is that On Facebook, you can get real specific, and it seems like there's a little bit more challenges to targeting on YouTube, but you could make them work based on a lot of the things you just said. But one thing that I've seen, and maybe you'll agree with this, but there is a pro to this, is that YouTube is more for everyman offers. And what I mean by everyman offers is offers that pretty much anybody can buy. So if you're selling a business offer, it would be more of a biz op or start a business type offer would work better on YouTube. And on Facebook, you can go after existing business owners easier. And, things like weight loss and personal development, things that anybody can buy, do really well on YouTube. However, and this is where high ticket comes in, and we talked about this multiple times, because we've had offers that were not what I would consider everyman offers, and then we have had offers that were everyman offers. And so when we promote a non-everyman offer, meaning a more niche offer for somebody only a certain tiny percentage of the population can buy, because we are charging high ticket, even though we cannot scale it on YouTube like an everyman offer, because you charge high ticket, you don't really need to. Right? Because if you have 2 or 3 reps taking calls and selling $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000 offers, you're not going to, their calendars do get full. And so there is a limit there. But again, you don't need to sell thousands of copies of an offer or a program or a package if it's $10,000 or $5,000. You know what I'm saying? So just like if you're running YouTube ads for, let's say you have a service and your service is a few grand a month, again, it's not like you're going to need 500 clients to make to create a 7-figure business. You're going to have, you're charging a higher amount, so you don't need to scale as much. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah. So the more specific you're trying to get, the less potential for scale. Absolutely. Okay.
And that's built into any platform, but there's a little bit more potential for scale on Facebook than there is YouTube. But again, if you're charging high ticket, it really doesn't it doesn't matter because you don't need to scale to as many customers. So it's one of the beautiful parts about high ticket.
Right, absolutely. Like your older offer that you mentioned, great. We scaled that pretty big. You're probably making more money now with the new offer, not spending nearly as much on YouTube.
And let's get into that. Remember when we started running YouTube ads for $1,000 offer, and it was a business op offer. It was just, it was started an advertising agency. That was, I think we were spending about $100,000 a month on YouTube ads. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And we were making, it was something like, what was it, like 3x or something like that?
Yeah, right in that range, 2.5 to 3x.
Right. So you spend $100,000 on YouTube ads on a $1,000 product, you get $250, $300 back. And now, what do you think we're spending now for the high ticket?
Like $500 a day, $15,000 a month.
Right. So $15,000 a month. And the funny thing is that, we're making more profit now, spending only $15,000 a month, and we have less customers to deal with. We have better customers that are more savvy and they have a better mindset because they put more skin in the game because they paid a more premium price, and they get better results because we have a better program because we charge more. We're able to offer more in the program and offer more help, and so all of those things are pros. Less money spent, more profit made. So, again, if you're charging a high ticket price, YouTube, even if it's niche, even if it is specific and it's not everyman, can still absolutely, make you a ton of revenue and profit, if you have good ads. So, let's talk about why YouTube ads work well for webinars specifically, because my favorite method, regardless of what you sell, is a webinar, which is a 45-minute to 1 hour-ish, sometimes 2 hour pre-recorded or live, but I like to do pre-recorded presentation that teaches something. And then at the end, you offer them to get more help, basically. And so why do YouTube ads work really, really well for webinars specifically?
So on YouTube, you have people's attention. Okay, compare this we keep making the Facebook comparison, but I think it's a relevant comparison. So compare this to Facebook. Where are people checking their Facebook? Their
phones, while they're in their car, while they're shopping.
Right. They're literally driving, checking their Facebook.
Right.
Are they going to watch? Maybe they'll opt in for your webinar. Are they going to watch an hour-long webinar, a 30-minute webinar?
Not
no,
right then.
They're in their
Not
car.
usually. Sometimes, but for the most part, no, they'll probably watch it later, bookmark it, or at least not at the same volume.
Yeah. So and there are, obviously some people are at their computer, they're relaxing at home, checking their Facebook. They will watch your whole webinar. But with YouTube, the percentage of people who are sitting down to spend time there is so much higher. Right. They are relaxing, or they are trying to learn something, and they are ready to spend that time watching videos. So their consumption level is high. They're looking for good content to consume. So when you send them to a good webinar, it's not a big jump at all. It's in fact very fluid, and they're going to watch what you have to say. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to watch something.
And just to sort of create an analogy from that, because there's a time and a place, right? And so imagine that you were, a single dude, and you were like, I've been single for 6 months. I got to get myself back out in the dating game. I gotta meet some people. Well, would you go to somebody's place of work or a library or somewhere where somebody's trying to do something other than converse or potentially, look for a dating partner? Or would you go to some sort of social event, like where it could be anything from a bar to speed dating to, a painting class or something like that, where people are used to and are accepting of social interaction. I mean, how many times have you heard one of your female friends talk about how annoying it is to be at the gym trying to work out, and a guy's making a pass at them? There's a time and a place. And if you're driving, it's the same thing with advertising. If you're driving, if you're at the grocery store, if you're doing something else, and all you really wanted to do was grab your phone and check your email real quick, or check, the headlines or something, and then you see an ad and it's like, watch this webinar. Yeah, some people, a portion will be ready and in a frame of mind to watch that, but not that many. If you're sitting down and watching YouTube, I mean, I think about when I watch YouTube, I'm not driving. I mean, I'd have to be a psychopath to watch YouTube and drive. But when I am watching YouTube, I'm sitting down. I'm in a place where I am now ready to learn. I'm ready to study. I'm ready to consume. Just like if I go to some sort of social event, if I go to a speed dating event, not that I would, but if I did, I would have the expectation that I'd have conversations with other potential single people, right? Just like, if you go on a cruise, they always have a meeting area for singles, and then they have a meeting area for couples. Again, a time and a place. And so if you're already on YouTube, you're in that time, in that place where you can sit down for an hour and watch something. And so that's the thing, is that's why you have a higher amount of people on YouTube who will watch that webinar, because they're in that time and that place for the exact type of marketing you're giving them.
Yeah, one other thing I'll mention is that YouTube ads, video ads, really allow you to set yourself up as an expert before they even start watching your webinar. You're putting yourself out there on video. You can share some valuable information in a 2 to 5 minute ad. And now they're thinking, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. I'm gonna go watch this webinar. He must be an expert. He's on YouTube. There's a video. He's in a video. He just taught me some really cool stuff. And now they're paying even more attention to your webinar, even if they've never heard of you, just because they first watched an ad, and now they are under the belief, they've figured out that you are an expert who can help them even further.
Right, because everybody has a Facebook, but how many people have a YouTube channel? It sort of has that, it gives you that instant credibility, because if you're on, YouTube is a place of learning and consumption, whereas Facebook is pretty much for everybody. So, That's a great point. So Kyle, let's do this. Let's end with some rapid fire top recommendations for people that want to run YouTube ads and want to do this. What are some just quick rapid fire top recommendations you would give them?
Yeah, so target content as much as possible. Find as many relevant channels and videos and topics to target as you possibly can. It'll be harder to scale. There'll be a limit to how you can scale just targeting content, but that would be the place to start. Because if you can't get your ads to work targeting content, you're not going to get them to work if you're just targeting the audience. So start there. Also, when you're thinking about starting, think about who your ideal customer is. Okay, a lot of people go into this and they think, my product, I have a lot of men and women buying it, but maybe it's like 85% men and 15% women. But they go into it thinking they should still target men and women. Maybe you'll get to that point, but if your customer base leans that heavily towards the male demographic, just start there. Start with what's likely going to work the best. You can always add more in later, but again, start with if it's not going to work with your number one ideal customer avatar, it's not going to work. Figure it out there. Figure out what's going to work with your top avatar, and then you can think about scaling and expanding. And there's definitely room to scale and expand. Another tip would be to think about the device people are on. Think about computer and tablet and mobile differently, because those are likely going to perform differently. So if you're getting the same cost per lead on a computer and on a mobile device, well, more than likely, the people on the computer have a higher likelihood to watch your whole webinar, just by the nature of where they're sitting and the device they're on. So if you're paying $10 per lead on a computer and $10 per lead on mobile, you're probably not doing as well on mobile, just because those leads aren't as valuable, because they aren't consuming your webinar as much. So to deal with this, make sure you split up that targeting. Set up separate ad groups for computer and tablet and mobile. That way you can vary what you're paying per lead. You can pay more per lead on a computer and it'll still be more valuable to you. You can pay less per lead on mobile. You might not get as much traffic because you're not bidding as high, but you'll be more profitable because you won't be wasting so much money on overpriced leads. And then briefly, I'll just talk about the video itself. It's really important on YouTube to identify who your target customer is early on in the video. You're only going to pay Google, you're only going to pay Big G when somebody watches 30 seconds of your ad or more. So if your ad is for one type of person, you want them to know about that right away. You want to catch their attention. And everyone else...
You want to get to the point.
Yeah, everyone else, you want them to skip, because if they skip before 30 seconds, you're not wasting that money on the wrong people. So don't worry. A lot of people talk about like attention grabbers and pattern interrupts and all this stuff. That's not as important as just speaking to who you are trying to speak to, so they know you're talking directly to them and they watch and everyone else skips before you pay for them.
Right. And that's why I've seen, the people that I've seen, and this is the way we do it, the people that I've seen that have crushed it with YouTube ads, they're not sitting there and the video starts and they're like, here I am on this beach and this big backstory. They're like, hey, in this video, I'm going to show you this, or this is what you're going to get at. Like they're immediately talking about the ideal customer and the goals and the pain points right away. Because again, like you said, if somebody is not interested in that and they skip, you don't have to pay for it. But if they are interested in that and they don't skip, then you pay for it. So you want to be clear in the beginning, because if you're not, they might watch that out of pure and simple curiosity, and you might end up paying for people that would never in a million years buy your product or aren't your ideal customers. So I think that's a huge tip. If anybody watching this hasn't written that down and you know, engrave that into your brain, you should do so, because that is a huge, huge, huge tip.
Yeah, there's a place for creativity, but it's not really at the beginning of a YouTube ad. Get to the point.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Because I mean, if you remember, we've actually filmed some rather, and this will actually help everybody save a little bit of money on production costs. But we've filmed some pretty extravagant ads, and I've tried that, and really I could say the same for Facebook as well. They don't really perform as well as me just grabbing my iPhone or me just screen sharing on a computer. Those perform great, and they take virtually no time to create. So, and you can bust them out. And I remember, and we'll leave it here, and then I'll tell everybody how they can get some extra resources and how they can follow you, Kyle, to get some more awesome nuggets from you. But I remember I was backstage at FHL. It was last year or the year before, and I met Dean Graziosi. And Dean was talking about how they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on YouTube ads like every single week. And I said, you know, what kind of videos are you doing? And he's like, man, I just grab my phone and I record like 5 to 10 videos every single day, and I hand them off to my team. And they split test them and use them and blah, blah, blah. And they're just, you know, iPhone videos. And I've seen Russell do it. I've seen, you know, like Sam Ovens, and I've seen a lot of these guys. They just grab their phone and they just pop real quick. And the ones that work, and the ones that don't. And again, they're not, you imagine if you spent $10,000, $15,000 on a big budget video production, number one, you'd be limited by the amount of creatives you can do, because those things take time to make. And number two, what happens if by chance that huge production, and we've all seen them, we've seen like the Dollar Shave Club and all this, and those are great, and a lot of times they work, but how many times do you see the ones that don't work? I mean, you're spending weeks on production, you're spending tens of thousands of dollars, and you're basically hoping that it works, whereas a simple iPhone or screen share video can work just as well and is virtually no risk and no waiting. So would you agree that the simple iPhone screen share, some of the simplest down and dirty videos work the best?
Absolutely. It's about the message. It's about what you're saying. I tell my clients this all the time. I'd rather have 10 iPhone videos from you than one video that you spent $10,000 on. Just give me the messaging. Then we can test all the different hooks. We can test the message itself rather than worrying about the video quality. Because really, as we both know from experience, the video quality is not what's going to sell people. That's not what's going to get people to opt into your webinar. People are going to opt into your webinar based on you and based on what you're telling them they can get out of it.
Right, absolutely. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing with this. Let's leave them with some furthering education. So, number one, you gotta follow Kyle on YouTube. You got to go subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'm going to leave a link to Kyle, to your YouTube channel in the description, so you guys can click on that link and subscribe to Kyle's YouTube channel to get more golden nuggets from him. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as well, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get a copy of my book, Digital Millionaire Secrets, for free. Just pay shipping. And if you ever have a chance to work with Kyle, I don't know what you're offering now, what you're going to offer tomorrow or next month or next year, but I recommend that whatever you offer or whatever content you put out, free or paid, that people definitely should consume it, because I wouldn't be working with you, nor have what I have worked with you this long, if you weren't the real deal. So I appreciate you coming on today and sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Awesome stuff, as always. I love your YouTube videos, so obviously if anyone has not subscribed to you, like, I don't know what they're waiting for. They need to subscribe to your channel even before you subscribe to mine. Go subscribe to Dan right now.
You're going to make me blush. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, everybody that watched. Hope you had a good time. Don't forget to subscribe to both our channels, and I'll see you in the next video.